Hello everyone. This is chapter 7, part 3. We continue discussing tools that we need for evaluation of quality of life and functional capabilities of geriatric patients. Instrumental activities of daily living is another evaluation that nurses do, especially upon discharge from acute care setting. And these are more complex activities essential for community living situation. When we do this assessment, we have to realize what services needs to be arranged for safe discharge. Our goal to prevent readmission with the same problem or new problems that a patient might develop. As I told, it's important to determine support system and what community support systems are needed for discharge planning. Components of IADLs include shopping, housekeeping, meal preparation, telephone use, transportation, medications, doing laundry, and finances. With exception of management of finances, pretty much you can arrange services that will be helpful for management patients' needs in outpatient setting, like in home environment. And examples are in-home support services. A caregiver arranged from in-home support services can help with shopping, housekeeping, meal preparation, and doing laundry. Usually, this might be a person from in-home support services, or a geriatric patient can hire somebody from his or her family. It can be a daughter or a son, for example. But this is the difference between formal and informal caregiver. If a family member taking care of a geriatric patient for free, this is informal caregiver. As soon as in-home support services start sending checks for payment for these services, informal caregiver becomes formal caregiver. Next, besides in-home support services, meal preparation can be arranged also through Meals on Wheels organization. Very good service, at least once a week they provide for a week's supply, and this can be refrigerated and heated in the oven, so in majority this is already pre-cooked food. Telephone use. I used to have a patient who was homebound, basically, because she was so obese. She was still able to ambulate with a walker, minimally, but she was not able to leave the house as much. So, what happened to her several times? She said that she found herself on the floor, upside down with a walker, and was unable to stand up without assistance. Also, she was not able to reach the phone. This situation is very dangerous. The worst scenario is she could die. She also can do a fracture. She also can, if she will stay on the floor, she can develop kidney injury, etc., etc. So, first aid alarm, cholera alarm, medical alarm is also called, is a very good and useful thing that saved her life many times. She just pushed the button and paramedics were called and assisted her back then. Okay, next. Transportation. I really recommend access service. Access is provided by the government, and you should refer a person who is eligible. They fill an application and called for an interview. During the interview, eligibility is determined. So once they found eligible, they receive this nice green card. And with this card, if a person is ambulatory and able to, for example, take public transportation, he or she can use this card and the ride is free. If the person uses a caregiver who assists and accompanies this person, also the ride is free for a caregiver. So it's good to have this card. In case if a person cannot take public transportation, Access has cabs, like minivans that they use for transportation of patients who are non-ambulatory, especially those who use wheelchairs. What you need to know, you have to order Access services 24 hours in advance. This means if the appointment with the physician will be at 3 p.m. tomorrow, it means that at 3 p.m. today, a family member or the person has to call access and make necessary arrangements. They are very prompt, they come on time, and if you will not wait for them outside of your apartment, they will just leave. So they are very prompt and accurate with timing, and they require from you the same. And you can put a wheelchair in this van, and also you can have a company who accompanies the patient in the same car. So transport access service is very good source. What to do with medication management? I had a patient who used to come and bring the whole bag of medications and was very confused after his wife died, what medications to take. So the first day when he came, he had a pill holder, and I quickly tried to arrange medications so he will have for a week. I had to order a home health nurse to come, otherwise he would come to me next week again, and I cannot afford, because they have patient schedule, to see me. That's why a nurse, first time NRN comes to open the case, and afterwards usually LVN come to visit the client. Laundry also is done by home support services. Finances, usually I cannot recommend such organization, but maybe a social worker. As you can see, ideal assessment tool, we use Power Lawton. There are other tools that you can see in your textbook, but for exam and for this class, we use Lawton. As you see, all these interventions that, more complex interventions that the person might need to know, and if not, you grade accordingly. And then, based on the score, you decide what patient needs and to whom you have to refer. If you cannot do it by yourself, a social worker always a good advice and collaboration for you, so keep this in mind. Final tool that we use is Fulmer Spices. Primarily it's used in acute care, and Spices is an abbreviation for sleep disorder, problems with eating and feeding, incontinence, confusion, evidence of falls, and skin breakdown. This tool helps you to create a care plan that helps eventually to create a plan for care during hospitalization and safe discharge. You can see this tool over here. It's very straightforward. It doesn't ask you to give any points. You just have yes or no answers. As a practical assignment, what I would like you to do, read a provided scenario, same I do in class, and use for the same scenario cuts, Lawton, and Spices, and think what level of care the client needs. Email me your response. Next is also assignment that will be based on a case scenario. This is based on a Roy model, and you will do similar assignment individually in your clinical class. But usually I give students an opportunity to practice as a group, like 3, 4, or 5 students together, or we divide class by half, and we have a problem, we read scenario, we found level 1 assessment behavior, or usually it's a problem like non-compliance with physical or occupational therapy, or pain. Level 2 assessment, this is the reason. It answers the question why. Why non-compliance? Because of pain. Can level 2 assessment become level 1 assessment? Yes, definitely. Pain. Why? Because of hip fracture. Then you state your short-term and long-term goals. Again, we will discuss it today. And interventions. So for each level 1 assessment problem, you will have to have interventions. Nursing diagnosis. For this class, your nursing diagnosis will be based on ADLs and IADLs. You will evaluate functional abilities, and an example is ineffective management of therapeutic regime. So first part of your nursing diagnosis is supposed to come as a first level assessment over here. You can pick any of 14 behaviors, 6 from ADLs or 8 from IDLs. So the problem part of nursing diagnosis be one of these 14 behaviors. When in real life you do interview of a geriatric patient, many topics come up, and it's in your hands when you try to do selection of information and guide the conversation so it will go into the right direction and you get more information on the problems that you need to discuss. But stay open to everything what is told, because you might miss some information also that is important for patient care and safety. Also, what you have to important to remember, avoid using affective domain for level 1 assessment. Affective domain might come in level 2 assessment. So, the nursing diagnosis, the problem part of the nursing diagnosis should center on function, or loss of function from activities of daily living or IDLs. Not affected, keep this in mind. Affective domain can, like knowledge, can come into play where stimuli portion, the level 2 assessment that answers the question why. Let's review how nursing diagnosis is supposed to look like. First is a problem. It's your level 1 assessment. Then follows by related to, due to, secondary to. This is your level 2 assessment that answers the question why. Don't forget stimuli and manifested by. You have to explain and describe as this problem manifested by. You can use for diagnosis ineffective functional capabilities. I don't recommend you to write inability to perform IADLs and ADLs. Be more specific, describe one problem at a time from IADL or ADL list. Because if you will write IADLs, it's too broad, and your interventions will be very confusing, nursing interventions, and too broad. So be more narrow, be more specific. It will be easier for you when you will write care plan. Adaptive functional capabilities. So nursing diagnosis sum up assessment findings for assessment, functional assessment of ADLs and IADLs. For example, ability to perform all ADLs and most IADLs except due to and use stimuli that focus on reason for ability. Keep in mind, I recommend to be more specific. Other stimuli that frequently overlooked might be availability of a reliable caregiver or caregiver burnout that also can affect patient's care. Goals. A goal supposed to relate to level 1 assessment, to behavior, short-term and long-term goals. It should focus on one of 14 ADLs. Keep in mind the difference between long-term and short-term goals is that short-term goal is 3 months or less. Long-term goal is more than 3 months. It has to be written in a way the patient will, because you're writing it as a goal as in future tense. This concludes Chapter 7, Part 3. Chapter 7, Part 4 is coming.